Day 94 in the war in Iran, and we can see fresh tensions now rising between Israel and Lebanon as Benjamin Netanyahu issues fresh orders for the Israeli forces to begin targeting southern Beirut suburbs housing critical Hezbollah infrastructure. Now, we can see here over the last few weeks, Israel have been conducting limited and targeted specific attacks from northern Israel into southern Lebanon, targeting the Hezbollah infrastructure, which is attacking northern Israeli settlements. But in the last few days, we've really seen an uptick in this Israeli advance, and we can see now the Israeli government are making preparations to potentially go as far north as the Zerani River. Now, up till now, the Litani River has been the vital ground, if you like, for the Israelis, giving them a 20 to 30 kilometre buffer zone and that front to target Hezbollah forces. And rather dramatically this weekend, that included the seizure of Beaufort Castle and the ridge that it commands, offering strategic views out to the rest of southern Lebanon. Now, if we just look for a comparison, this grey line at the top, this grey box, that denotes the extent of the Israeli military operation from 1985 to 2000, where they held that ground fighting against the PLA and the PLO. So given that history, people are understandably sceptical that this will be over in a matter of days or weeks, and rather it's going to be part of a much broader long-term Israeli military campaign. Now, again, just looking at this in a little bit more detail, we can see the Litani River here and Beaufort Castle, and really the ability now for the Israelis to sweep down the plain from the high ground and seize Nabatea, this crucial Lebanese city, hosting not just civilians and a large civilian population, but also Hezbollah infrastructure. From here, they can easily then sweep just from the northern suburbs and reach the Zerani River, giving them that 40-kilometre strategic front. Now, this grey area here denotes the evacuation zone which the Israelis have already publicly announced for the Lebanese in this area, who are already pulling out in scenes of relative chaos and confusion, not really knowing where the Israelis are going to be coming from. Going to the next slide ever so briefly, we can see here the Beaufort Castle and the strategic views. Now, having been in this area extensively myself and knowing the ground, this will give the Israelis that enormous strategic front going forwards, that really commanding position. Now, this is all part of the US-Iran shadow war and shadow diplomacy, where each are trying to seek greater leverage or exert that greater leverage on the other force going forwards. Now, longer term, this will likely cause some form of split or rift in Israeli and American policy, as the Americans are understandably wanting to pull out quite short term, and the Israelis really now want to press home this advantage against Hezbollah. Longer term as well, we can tell that any long-term ceasefire or peace negotiation, particularly from the Iranian perspective, will intrinsically cover Lebanon. Now, in this shadow war and this shadow diplomacy between America and Iran, we've also seen in the last 7 days, particularly this weekend, an increase, an uptick, if you like, in the direct strikes between the two, which has really been an increased source of tension in the last 24 hours. Now, it in no way represents a return to a full conflict that we saw pre-April the 8th ceasefire, but what these tit-for-tat strikes against American bases and Iranian launch facilities, what that does do is completely undermine confidence from either party going forwards, and crucially erode that sense of good faith and goodwill going into much more meaningful negotiations down the line, particularly on the Iranian nuclear enrichment program. Now, Donald Trump is keen to wrap this up in a matter of days, but we can see from this all sides have very different strategic outcomes, and none of them are really compatible with one another.